Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Tom.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
And today we're going to continue talking about chocolate. Maybe you're craving chocolate. Maybe you'd like to have some chocolate. So read on. We've got some more information to talk about. Last time we kind of talked about the history of chocolate, where it comes from Mesoamerica. And the Spanish, when they were, conquering the Americas there, took the secret of chocolate back to Spain. And they tried to keep it a secret, but the rest of Europe found out about it, and now chocolate is manufactured all over the world.
Thank goodness, because a lot of us love it. I prefer my chocolate on top of ice cream. I don't like chocolate ice cream itself. I like the chocolate sauce, or as I talked about in day one, I like hot fudge, which is warmed up, very thick chocolate sauce on top. Love that. That's my favorite.
It sure is. Okay, so we're going to talk some more about chocolate today, and we'll talk about the production process and various other things that have to do with chocolate. So let's get to it, everybody. Let's listen to today's article read one time.
Chocolate goes through a complex production process before reaching us. After harvesting the cacao seed pods, workers remove the beans. These are fermented for 5 to 8 days and then dried for another week. Next, the beans are shipped to manufacturers who refine them into chocolate. To do this, manufacturers roast the beans and then heat them until they become liquid. This is the base of the chocolate products we're familiar with, and it's treated in one of two ways. In one, the chocolate is blended with milk, sugar, and other ingredients. In the other, it's left untreated for baking purposes. In both processes, the chocolate is then molded and packaged to be sold. Chocolate that contains cacao levels of at least 70% has numerous health benefits, which come from nutrients called flavonoids. Studies have shown that certain flavonoids lower blood pressure and reduce the risk of heart attacks and strokes. One study has even shown that flavonoids increase blood flow in the part of the brain associated with learning and memory. Keep in mind, however, that these benefits won't come from eating chocolate that's been mixed with milk and sugar. These health benefits, as well as chocolate's delicious taste, have earned it a firm place in our diets and hearts. However, chocolate's very existence is at risk. Cacao trees require humid rainforest environments to survive. Unfortunately, climate change is threatening these conditions, particularly in Côte d'Ivoire and Ghana, the countries responsible for 50% of the world's chocolate production. If our limitless appetites for chocolate are to continue, we have no choice but to rethink the way we treat the earth and its precious resources.
Okay, everybody, again, we're asking if you're craving chocolate, and even if you aren't craving chocolate, you still gotta listen to today's lesson because you'll probably be tested on it. But the information can be used in other different situations. But I'm not too worried about that because most people enjoy chocolate. Or maybe your friends do if you don't. But in any case, let's read on and find out about the production process. Now, chocolate goes through a complex production process.
Or complex, 都可以.
Right, complex or complex. Yeah, I was going to look up the pronunciation there, but it does have both here.
Yeah, it's both.
Complex, complex, etc.
Usually with the adjective, Tom, it's complex, and the noun is complex.
Okay, very good, very good. But it goes through a complex production process, a complex production process, before reaching us, which means it involves a lot of different steps. It's not simple. It's a complex process. before you can actually eat it. And after harvesting the cacao seeds, workers remove the beans. So, of course, you have to harvest the seeds from the cacao tree. Harvest here is being used as a verb. You just take the vegetables or the fruit or whatever out of the field. You collect them together in baskets or whatever. You harvest it, and then you bring it in for processing. They will remove the cacao beans, or they'll pick the beans from the trees, and then they'll remove the beans. So maybe these come in some kind of pod or something.
They do.
And then they take the beans out of those pods, and they await further processing.
Yeah, it's similar to the green soybeans that we have here. I just ate some last night for dinner.
Okay.
They're in a pod. You don't eat the pod. It's not that tasty, so it's kind of thick. The pea pods, I eat the pods for peas. In fact, they just get thrown into stir fry here. But here they take out the beans that are encased or enclosed in the seed pods. These are fermented for 5 to 8 days. Usually when you ferment something, ferment is the pronunciation, fermented. It just undergoes this change in its state. We can ferment juice, for example, grape juice that comes from grapes. If you ferment it long enough, it turns into wine. So it's got a little alcohol in it. But it takes some time. For here, we ferment these beans for 5 to 8 days, and then they're dried for another week. So that's part of the process.
So those are a couple of more steps there.
Yeah.
Fermentation and then drying them out. Next, the beans are shipped to manufacturers who refine them into chocolate. So they've been processed initially here, and then they've got the beans after they've been fermented and after they've dried out. These people send them to manufacturers, companies that make them into consumable chocolate.
Right.
And these manufacturers, these chocolate companies, refine the beans into chocolate. So here we've got the word refine, which means to make something even finer than it was before. You get rid of impure things in the chocolate, or you get rid of unwanted things in there. You refine it. That's what you do with the petroleum. You send the petroleum to an oil refinery, and it kind of treats the petroleum and turns it into gasoline or other kinds of fuel that we can use.
Or maybe somebody grew up on a farm and they don't know how to eat at a nice, expensive restaurant, or they don't dress very sophisticated, So you can refine them, teach them how to have more social manners, social graces. You can refine a lot of things. Now, they do refine the chocolate, but to do this, the manufacturers roast the beans. We roast a lot of things here in Taiwan, too. I know for the beef noodle soup, they roast that meat for a long time and then they stew it. To roast means to cook food for a long time, usually in an oven or over a fire. Here, I'm sure they're using ovens to roast them. In fact, we have something we call roast in America that's on the menu. It's beef, and it's cooked in the oven for a good 4 to 6 hours, so it makes the meat very tender. They roast the beans, cook them a long time, and then heat them up until they become liquid. Interesting.
Interesting. So they kind of turn them from a solid into a liquid. And this is the base of the chocolate products we're familiar with. And it's treated in one of two ways, which we'll get to in a second here. But let's talk about this term, to be familiar with. That's being used with the be verb there. We're familiar with. We are familiar with this. That means we know about it. We've heard about it. Maybe we don't know a lot about it. But it sounds very familiar to us. We're comfortable hearing about this. So we're familiar with these chocolate products, the ones that we're used to, and then they treat this base chocolate in one of two ways. There are two ways to treat the chocolate after that. Now, in one way, the chocolate is blended with milk, sugar, and other ingredients. So the liquid chocolate now that we have is mixed or blended with milk, with sugar, and also with maybe some other ingredients like we mentioned before, nuts, or maybe spices,
mint,
or mint or whatever.
caramel or caramel.
There you go.
Yeah, lots of good stuff. If you blend things together, you mix them together until they become one. We often use this word when we're giving you cooking instructions. Blend in the sugar or blend in the flour. You'll often see that verb there. Or maybe you don't blend very well with a group of friends. You're just too different. If people blend well, they go together well. So here we're going to talk about the second type or second way they can treat that liquid or the base of the chocolate. It's left untreated. So they don't add milk and sugar and other ingredients to this one. It's left untreated for baking purposes. So that's the stuff that we buy, usually in a box that just has a big word that says cocoa on it. C-O-C-O-A. It's not cacao. It just says cocoa. And if you want to make a chocolate cake, you don't actually use cocoa beans. You just get that box of cocoa that's dried powder that they've produced, and they put that in, and it turns into chocolate cake.
Yeah, I remember my mother buying these plastic packages of chocolate morsels, little pieces of chocolate, and then she would mix that with flour and sugar and other things to make chocolate chip cookies. So I think in that case, the chocolate for baking isn't sweet, okay? So if you want to eat bitter chocolate or something that's not so sweet, you should consider eating baking chocolate. I think they probably sell it in baking supply stores island-wide. Okay, that brings us to about the midway point in today's lesson. Let's take a break right now and listen to our Chinese teacher.
Hello everyone, my name is Tina. 今天文章的第一段呢，在说明巧克力的制作的过程。首先来看到第二个句子提到After harvesting the cacao seed pods, workers remove the beans. 首先呢，在采收可可豆荚之后，工人会把豆子取出来。这里的 remove 有去除的意思，常常用来搭配的介系词是 from。举个例子来说 The corrupt official was removed from office. 指的呢，就是这个贪腐的官员呢，被罢职了。而呢，后面的步骤呢，在这里的课文当中都有说清楚。我们看一下中间的句子提到 This is the base of the chocolate products we are familiar with, and it's treated in one of two ways. 在所有的制作过程完成之后呢，我们终于了解了，这是我们熟悉的巧克力制品的主要成分。在这里的 base 呢，解释成为主要成分。Be familiar with 也就是对什么感到熟悉的意思。那它会用两种方式来处理，后面则是 in one 搭配的另外一个句子是 in the other。记住哦，如果是两种的话，一个叫做 one， 另外一个就要用 the other。In the other is left untreated for baking purposes. 另外一种方法呢，就是将它放在那边不去碰它，因为要做烘焙之用。在这里的 left 原来它的原形动词 leave 则是有使这个东西处于某种状态当中，所以巧克力呢被处于一种 untreated 不被处理的状态当中，就为了 baking purposes 烘焙的用途。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back, guys. We're talking about chocolate. A sweet, tasty treat for most of us. Some of us like the dark chocolate or the chocolate that hasn't had a lot of sugar added to it or caramel or caramel. But I prefer the sweet kind, I'll be honest.
Okay, so let's continue talking about how chocolate is processed. But we just kind of talked about that, so we'll talk about some of the health benefits here, rather.
Yeah.
Chocolate that contains cacao levels of at least 70% has numerous health benefits, which come from nutrients called flavonoids. I hope I said that word correctly here. Of course, if you eat chocolate that has a high percentage of cacao, then it is actually actually healthful or has a lot of benefits for your health. A benefit, of course, is something that is beneficial to you. It's good for you. It's an advantage for you. It does you some kind of good.
Yeah, actually, I see these chocolate bars quite often in Taiwan. I tend to like the 70%. It'd probably be more helpful if you bought the 90% or 100%. But I just don't like the taste when it's too bitter. But I do buy the chocolate bars that have 70% cacao in them because you know why? It helps burn fat. Don't eat too much because there's still calories in it, but it does help burn belly fat in particular. So that's one of the numerous health benefits or advantages that come from eating more of that cacao. It comes from nutrients called flavonoids. I've only heard this word when they talk about chocolate. I don't know if other things use it, but it's a chemistry term. It just means a large class of plant pigments, color. Pigment is color, having a structure based on or similar to that of flavone, which I don't know that either. But flavonoids you'll often see in commercials or advertisements when they're talking about chocolate, and nutrients come from flavonoids. Nutrients help your body, of course, be healthy or retain the good health that you have. So you want to have foods in your body that have a lot of nutrients.
Right, the nutrients is important, lots of vitamins and minerals.
Yeah.
And studies have shown that certain flavonoids lower blood pressure and reduce the risk of heart attacks and strokes. So maybe if you're young, you're not really worrying about these things so much. But as you get older and when you go to see the doctor will say, hey, your blood pressure has been kind of high recently.
Yeah.
You're at a risk of getting a stroke or a heart attack that way. So you better do something about it. So yes, eating chocolate could be beneficial for that, but I think you have to have the dark chocolate there in order to get the maximum benefits. If you have too much sugar added to it, it's probably just canceling out the benefits there because of the sugar.
It's true.
That will probably increase your blood pressure. But in any case here, these flavonoids will reduce blood pressure and reduce the risk of heart attacks and strokes. Stroke is zhongfeng, just in case you wanted to know. Now, one study has even shown that flavonoids increase blood flow in the part of the brain associated with learning and memory. So there you go. If you want to memorize lots of vocabulary words for the exam that you're going to have about this material, you better be eating some raw chocolate or some dark chocolate while you're listening to today's lesson, because there have been some studies, or at least one study, that has shown that these flavonoids help increase your memory because the blood will flow to the part of your brain that is associated with learning, or the part of your brain that has something to do with learning things and remembering things.
Yeah, to be associated with something means you're connected to it. Linked to it is another phrase you could say. Part of the brain linked with learning and memory, or connected with. So those are good things. You want blood flow in your body, especially in your brain, because it helps it become more sensitive. It just remembers more. It's easier to learn that way, which is awesome. Now, keep in mind, however, or remember when you're, thinking about these things, that these benefits or advantages won't come from eating chocolate that's been mixed with milk and sugar. I think that sentence here was written for me because, I prefer chocolate with the milk and sugar. I'm going to try to eat a higher percentage of cacao in my chocolate bars, so I'm going to go for the 80 or 85% the next time I go to the grocery store and buy some chocolate. I try to keep one of those high percentage chocolate bars in my freezer. So when I just want a little something, I don't go crazy and eat a whole cookie from, for example, Subway, which is, those cookies are really fattening, but they're good. Anyway, I just try to go and get a little square of chocolate from the freezer. Keep it there because it lasts a lot longer than anywhere else. So that's a tip for you to remember. Don't go grabbing the chocolate bars that are filled with milk and sugar. Those are unhealthy. Yes.
Yes, and of course, those are the most common varieties of chocolate available here in Taiwan. But
They're
I must
delicious.
say that things have improved recently. It's easier to find dark chocolate in convenience stores. You have to look really hard, though, and maybe you can find them in supermarkets or specialty stores.
Yeah,
Specialty
definitely.
stores probably have them as well. And these health benefits, as well as chocolate's delicious taste, have earned it a firm place in our diets and hearts. So yes, chocolate has these health benefits, especially if it's dark chocolate. And those, along with the delicious taste of chocolate, have earned it a place in our hearts. So earned it means it has deserved this. I could say basically because it's so healthful and because it tastes so good, we're going to love it for a long time. We love it. It's a great snack to have, and it's a special gift you can give somebody for a special occasion, Valentine's Day or their birthday or Christmas or whatever. Chocolate makes an excellent gift.
We often talk about earning a place or having a place in someone's heart because you do something for them and they love you for it. So that's how you earn a place in someone's heart. However, chocolate's very existence is at risk. Why? Sounds like chocolate is going to disappear soon. Cacao trees require humid rainforest environments to survive. Oh, Taiwan knows humid. Taiwan knows humidity very well. If there's a lot of water in the air, we can just say there's a lot of humidity in the air. Or, oh, it's very humid today. It's the humidity that makes it feel so hot here in the summer, especially for people from drier climates like me. I grew up in the Shamu, so it's very humid here in Taiwan. Well, some of these rainforests aren't surviving, and that's where cacao beans grow best.
Right. You probably can't grow them here in Taiwan because Taiwan is a subtropical country, but in tropical countries, they have these cacao trees, especially in Côte d'Ivoire and Ghana, which are countries in West Africa, I believe. So here it goes on to say, unfortunately, climate change is threatening these conditions. To threaten, in this particular case, means they're causing trouble for that. It could mean trouble in the future, and the verb is to threaten. But in this particular case, it just means it's making it difficult for these trees to grow because of climate change.
Particularly in these two areas, Côte d'Ivoire and Ghana, two countries. So particularly just means especially here. You could also have just written in particular, Côte d'Ivoire and Ghana. You wouldn't use the in if you just say in particular. So gotta give our thanks to these two wonderful countries that supply 50% of the world's chocolate, which is a lot. So they do their fair share of chocolate production. Now, if our limitless appetites, meaning we just think we could eat forever, or we have that feeling that we could just eat forever. If you have an appetite, it just means you're hungry. Or if someone is sick, sometimes they'll go, oh, I just don't have any appetite, which means they don't have any yearning or desire to eat. They don't feel hungry. They just, food sounds terrible to them. You don't have a good, or someone may have a very good appetite, meaning they can eat a lot of food. I have a little nephew. He just doesn't eat very much. He has a poor appetite. He needs to eat more.
Yeah, I used to hear that from my mother-in-law all the time because it was so hard to get our daughter to eat. She never had an appetite for food. She wanted to go play and explore the world and stuff like that.
Things change when you get older because food is glorious when you get older.
Indeed. So, yes, so we've got an appetite for chocolate. Lots of people do. And if our limitless appetites for chocolate continue, well, then we have no choice but to rethink the way we treat the earth. I'm not sure what's going to happen there. Likely the price of chocolate will go up, and we'll probably decide to buy other snacks and treats to eat instead. Hopefully the growers in Côte d'Ivoire and Ghana will be able to survive this and find something else to grow and sell so they don't go bankrupt or anyway. But hopefully they can solve this problem somehow so that we can continue to enjoy chocolate for many years to come. Okay, that brings us to the end of our explanation. Our Chinese teacher would like to add a few things right now.
接着我们来看到第二段的第一个句子提到Chocolate that contains cacao levels of at least 70% has numerous health benefits, which come from nutrients called flavonoids. 我们首先来看到呢，它这里的 that 开始括号一直到 70%， 也就是呢，如果这个巧克力的含量至少是 70% 的这样的巧克力呢，它其实是有很多健康的益处。Benefits 就是利益跟好处的意思。我们来造个句子 The new hospital will be a great benefit to the town. 指的呢就是这家新的医院呢将带给镇上莫大的好处。而正因为它拥有至少70%以上的可可含量，然后呢为什么会有这样子呢？逗号which 这样子的好处呢是 come from nutrients 来自于这个称之为类黄酮的营养素。第二段中间继续提到 One study has even shown that flavonoids increase blood flow in the part of the brain associated with learning and memory.甚至有一项研究呢，它显示出来类黄酮会增加大脑中与学习跟记忆有关的区域的血流。这里的 flow 当作名词是指流动的意思，而 associated with 常常是以被动的形态来表达，表示呢什么跟什么是相关的。举例来说Some of Tom's symptoms are associated with old age. Tom 的一些症状呢，其实是跟他的年纪大有关的。所以在这里的 associated with learning and memory 可以括号起来，用来修饰前面的 the part of the brain, 大脑的这个跟学习跟记忆有关的区域。接着我们来看到最后一段的后面两个句子。Unfortunately, climate change is threatening these conditions, particularly in Côte d'Ivoire and Ghana, the countries responsible for 50% of the world's chocolate production. 在这里提到的 climate change 指的是气候变迁，它正威胁了一些要种植可可树的环境。Threaten 当作动词，有威胁的意思。He threatened to call the police, 指的就是他威胁着要叫警察。而这样子气候变迁影响可可树生长呢，尤其是在象牙海岸跟加纳这两个国家 responsible for 常常是解释成为负责，不过在这里呢也可以延伸成为它是占怎么样子的一个比例，它呢是负责，它是生产这个世界上 50% 巧克力产量的。在这里要特别注意一下 responsible for 的用法。最后一句 If our limitless appetites for chocolate are to continue, we have no choice but to rethink the way we treat the earth and its precious resources.Appetite 在这里指的是食欲跟胃口 Limitless 表示是呢无限的。如果我们对巧克力的无限渴望是要持续下去的话，那么 have no choice but to 就不得不呢重新思考我们对待地球跟它珍贵资源的方式了。 OK， 以上就是今天的课文讲解，谢谢收听。
Thanks for joining us, everyone. We hope you had a good time learning more about glorious chocolate. It is pretty spectacular, I must say. For English Digest, I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Tom. Goodbye.
See you later.